Hello, hello, beautiful, intuitive parents. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I wanted to drop in today to share a little bit more about what's been happening for me and to talk about something that has come up in my family with my children, and just something I've really been noticing for all of us as intuitive parents, parents in general, which is about our kids. And when they are really struggling, their behavior becomes really difficult to deal with. And very often the perception can be that they're misbehaving, that they're doing, they're being a pain, they're not doing the right thing. And when as a parent, we are triggered by that, when we have a reaction to their behavior, we're not holding this space of love and compassion. We're not leaning in to their need. And their need in that moment is like, I'm not coping. And I really need you to be there for me. So my beautiful little Bella, who is 4, has started school this week. This was her decision, that she wanted to go and do school. And I was like, amazing. She has a condition called PDA, which is an autistic spectrum disorder. And her behavior is very, very difficult to deal with. So anyone who has children, whether they're on a spectrum, labeled, whatever, we all have these behaviors that can be so triggering to our nervous system. And so she really wanted to go to school, and I was like, okay, this is great, it's amazing for her. And at the same time, it really does not suit my way of being, my nervous system, my ability to hold space for my kids, because I'm constantly now rushing around trying to navigate not just the concept of school and getting on the school run, but also that, she is overwhelmed a lot of the time. And so I am literally treading on eggshells to not be in a situation where she's going to be triggered. I'm literally walking around every single moment, holding this space together, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want her to have a meltdown. Her meltdowns, are really severe, and we try to avoid them at all costs. And I've got quite good at navigating that. But this morning she woke up at 4 o'clock. So I've been up since 4 a.m. and I'm already in this week struggling to navigate my own nervous system, because I feel like I'm holding it all together. Plus, obviously the extra running around that I have not used to doing, plus the fact that I'm not getting any time to myself, which is how I would normally regulate, is to have some time in the morning to really settle myself down before the day begins. So my whole routine has been thrown out the window. So right now I'm in a place where my resilience is really low, and I can feel myself building up to this point where there could be a potential explosion, because I'm not really coping. I'm not really able to calm my own nervous system at the moment. And so we were all ready for school, obviously, very early, and yet it doesn't make any difference. We were still late. Right at the cusp of trying to get in the car, there was an argument between her and Lottie, because she didn't want Lottie to come with us to the school. And so that was the one thing that I'm trying to avoid all the time, trying to avoid this tantrum. And of course, it happened anyway. So I have got Lottie, who's upset because she just wanted to come with us to do the school run. I've got Bella, who's upset because she didn't want Lottie to come and do the school run. And so I'm trying to navigate all of this. And in the car on the way home, Lottie said to me, God, Mom, Bella is just such a pain in the ass. And I was like, well, I understand your perspective, because we're always trying to appease Bella. We're always trying to navigate her behavior to make everybody else not trigger her. And so it could be really perceived by Lottie that, Bella's behavior is just really flipping annoying. And, there are times where I'm the same. I'm like, God, why can't you just do the thing? Put the shoes on, get in the car. Why can't that just be normal? But as Lottie was talking about this, I started talking to her, and I was like, well, Bella's behavior is just different. The way she navigates life is just different. Does it mean that she's a pain? And I said to her, what about the times where you're not listening, or you're doing something that is, perceived as difficult? Or do I say to you, oh, you're a pain in the arse? I don't like you. Like, I mean, even that language itself is not particularly pleasant, but the concept of, our children's misbehavior being a pain, being irritating, being annoying. And I was sat there in the car driving home thinking about it, thinking, in those moments, our children are just not coping. They are not functioning. They are not able to hold a space in their life to actually, navigate that particular, thing that's happening. And as parents, we sometimes are able to be in a space to really hold and lean in and be that loving, compassionate, energy that they really need. But there's a lot of times where, we're not able to do that because we have our own inner child. We have our own wounds and traumas and triggers that are coming up. So, sometimes the perception that our children are just irritating, misbehaving, doing it on purpose, it's really counterproductive. But how on earth, as an adult, are we supposed to just be in love and light and hold them and be in this beautiful relationship when we ourselves are not experiencing that? When no one's holding the love for us, when no one's saying, lean into me, let me hold your vulnerability, your difficulties. Who's doing that for you? And so we are almost in this perpetual cycle of failure, because we're feeling as an intuitive parent that we should be able to hold this space. We should be enough. We should be able to fix these things for our children, or even just to not react, not be triggered. And yet there is this part of us that is really in denial about our own wounds. It is impossible to hold space for our kids when we ourselves are in our stories, in our wounds, in the bits that we're feeling abandoned or lack of self-worth or unloved, or, we are walking around holding all of this ourselves. And yet then when our children are not coping and you see other parents that can lean in and can be there and can hold this love and compassion, we feel like we're failing. And so this is something I just really wanted to bring home, that you can't hold a consistent space of love and compassion for your kids if you're not holding it for yourself. And this is exactly the missing piece I see in parenting, in the kind of, mindfulness world, where we're trying to use tools and then wondering why the tools are not working. Because it's not just about the tools. It's about your inner self and the energy that is cultivated when you start to be loving and compassionate and peeling back these layers that perhaps are being ignored, perhaps are not being seen right now, because you're not in a container of safety where you feel like it's okay to fall apart, where it's okay that you have these things going on. So often we're feeling like, no, as the mum, we have to hold it together. We have to get the kids to school. We have to do all these things. And yet, where is the space that you get to be you, that you get to be like, I'm just not coping. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. I feel like I'm a failing mum or dad. Like, where is that place that is safe to actually be held and loved and really, truly let this stuff out? All this repressed energy, it's your power. Every single part of yourself that is being repressed and pushed down, that's your power that is leaking out all over the place. And then we're trying to hold space for our children that are playing up, perceived as being naughty, misbehaving, not listening, not doing the things. And we're triggered. And then we're like, God, I'm such an awful parent because I'm triggered. I'm like, it makes no sense. We are perpetuating the cycle of failure, when actually, if we just realized that we can lean in to ourselves, to our wounds, to our kids, in those moments. Every single time your child plays up, they are not doing it on purpose. They are not coping. Their nervous system is overwhelmed. There is so much science around this. And yet, even though we might know that in our heads, we are still, perpetuating the same cycle. We're still doing the same things over and over again. So I'm really holding this space for you to lean in. This is what we do at IPIK. This is the work, because it's different. It's not just the parenting tools. And right now we've got this container. We've got the Intuitive Family Accelerator that begins on the 30th of May, that is for this, that is the place that you can come to fall apart, to be vulnerable, to finally look at the truth of every single part you are repressing in your life that is actually preventing you from being this role model, from being this parent that you really want to be. And it begins with you. It begins in here. So I'm inviting and calling in those of you that are feeling stuck in this perpetual cycle, that even have the awareness already of your patterns, of your stories, of, the difficulties in your family. That's the awareness is the first part. The next part is the fear of leaping deeply into this work. It is revolutionary. It is going to change your entire life, because for the first time, instead of just using a tool, you're using a tool with a shift in your energetic way of being. Your entire life is created through how you be, through the energy you bring. I cannot harp on about this enough. Like, this connection between your energy and your life, your energy and your life, your way of being, the way you are cultivating, the things you are believing, create your reality. And as soon as we drop in fully and really dedicate our time, as much time as we dedicate to the bits that tell us we're failing, if we really turn and look inward and have the courage to jump in with 2 feet, to let ourselves fall apart, to let ourselves be held, to let ourselves be truly loved, that is where the magic is. That's the key that you're all waiting for, that isn't happening every time you invest in a parenting program or some tools, or think that you need the right next step to help your kids. You don't. What you need is the love and the support and the shifting of this emotional state in your body, these feelings that are velcroed to all the thoughts and all of the memories and all of the past experiences that you are holding stuck in your body, that is like this bubble, this safety zone. And I'm offering you this because I know it works, because it's incredible transformational shift. And everything about what we do is for you to move into this divine space, this truth that your soul is calling you forward for. That's why you're in this space. And look, everything I teach is free. Everything I do is for free. You can get this information. Like, I talk about it all the time. But if you want to have the shift and the change, that's where I welcome you in to personally work with Sarah and I to actually do the work, not just hear about it, not just take the information. It's all available. But jumping into the container is the leap that is going to literally catapult you into this next level. So I'm really inviting you to do the work. Like, if you feel like this is you, you're not paying for tools. You're not paying for, a beautiful, like, hippie space. You're paying for deep transformation, to be held, to be loved. And, when we do that, we start to realize, our kids aren't misbehaving. They're never misbehaving. The same as an adult having a tantrum. We have tantrums all the time. We shout, we yell, we get cranky, we blame our spouse or our parents or our kids for all these different things. That's just us having an adult tantrum because we're not coping. And what do we really want in those moments? We just want to be held. We want to be held. We want to be loved. We want to be vulnerable. We want to be allowed and given permission to say, this is shit. I'm not happy. Or I desire this thing, but I don't even feel like my wants and needs are important. And so this is what I am offering you, is the opportunity to completely transform your ability to be yourself. And in that, you transform the parent that you are. And in that, you transform the way that you can interact with your children, can interact with your husband or partner or wife or whatever. You know, this is the magic. So I have put a link to the Intuitive Family Accelerator program in the comment or the description. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, DM me on Facebook. That's the best way to, you know, jump into my kind of messages, and yeah, we can start a conversation. But I'm sending you all so much love. I really wanted to share this experience this morning, and just this, you know, thought in my mind that we absolutely have to do this work for ourselves if we want to teach our kids that everything is safe, that they are loved, even in the messiness. So have an amazing day. Love you all. Mwah.